As a photographer, we all make mistakes. In this video, we'll go over some of the common mistakes that photographer can make so that you don't have to learn it a hard way. Some of these I have learned a hard way, which is not good because sometimes you can even lose your work from it. But listening to this short video, you can get familiar with these mistakes so that you don't repeat it. So just stay with me till the end, and definitely this video will be very beneficial for you. This is Asim Gupta with ShutterClick, and let's dive into these mistakes. So mistake number one to avoid is shooting into automatic mode. Either you're using a semi-automatic camera or using a DSLR. You have to get away from the automatic mode. That is very important. Until you start switching and using manual mode or even aperture priority, shutter priority modes, you won't learn the real photography. The real photography is actually when you are setting up the camera. For example, you are setting up the shutter speed, the aperture, the ISO, the white balance, everything, including your vibration reduction and any other setting that you need for any kind of shoot. That is real photography. Putting your camera into auto mode and just clicking is not real photography. With all these new cameras, it's good to have automatic mode, and sometimes it is helpful. But definitely if you're trying to learn photography and learn the process of how to take a picture, that is not the right way of taking picture. Initially it might make you a bit nervous switching to these modes, but that's the real way of learning. The faster you switch from automatic mode to manual mode, the better photographer you will be. Here is the camera that I used and I learned my photography from through my dad. And this camera had nothing. This is a film camera. It's a Yashica Electro 35. And this camera had no other mode than manual mode. Everything is basically you set up all your manual settings, and it's a film camera, so you have limited clicks, and if you don't click it properly, then you lose your pictures. So it is good that I learned my photography using that camera because I could learn the basics from there and develop my photography skills. So it's very important that you switch from that automatic mode to the manual mode. The second very important mistake to avoid is be safe out there. I know you are excited sometimes. I know I feel the same, and it's easy to get distracted. But please make sure that you are safe out there. I understand sometimes just moving a bit or changing the angle can give you even better shot than what you are getting right now, for example. But don't put your life into risk just to get a picture. It happens to me sometimes as well. For example, one of the instances I remember is I was at Yosemite National Park with my friend, and it was early morning, nice foggy morning, where we were trying to shoot the sunrise picture, and we walked to this meadow, and looks very clear, and all we are looking towards is that sunrise happening, and then walking into the meadow. We were already about 200-300 meters into the meadows, all open field, but because of the fogs we never saw the group of coyotes sitting there, and when we saw them we were already too close just because we were not paying attention. And it was not a good scene because obviously we were not looking and not being careful there. The coyotes started chasing us, and we ran as fast as possible. They came really close. I mean, fortunately we were able to make it to the car at the end, both me and my friend, but it was an unsafe condition, and definitely something that we were not paying attention. So I understand there are situations where you can get excited like that. This is just one of the examples. I can give you several more examples, but just be safe out there. Don't risk your life, and stay away from any major injuries. The third common mistake that you want to avoid is at least do basic editing to your picture. Whether it's your friends or family, or if it's a client, then obviously it's much more important, but at least go through some basic editing. When I say basic editing, at least you want the picture to be cropped properly, to be framed properly, you want the horizon line to be straight, and you want to enhance some of the colors, make sure your exposure is proper. At least that kind of basic editing is very important. Now, in order to do basic editing, you don't have to buy expensive softwares. I mean, I understand Lightroom, Photoshop, sometimes you can't afford it. Those are expensive softwares. But this kind of basic editing, I feel, can even be done with free tools or free apps. free tools like Picasa, or nowadays there are a lot of free tools available online where you can just upload the pictures like iPicky or PicMonkey, where you can just upload the picture, edit it, at least do this much of basic editing, and get your picture done. Same way, when you are using your phones, there is a good app, at least I know I use it a lot, is Snapseed. It's a free app from Google. It's a very strong app. I'm going to do a separate video on that app as well, on how I edit those pictures. But a lot of my pictures that you see in Instagram are just using Snapseed, which is a free app. So you don't have to go really expensive for basic editing. Just go with something that is not too expensive or it's free, but don't forget to at least do some basic editing to your picture before sending it out. The fourth common mistake that you want to avoid is don't try to copy anybody and just be yourself. It often happens that you have a mentor or a person that you are following on Instagram or anywhere else, which is good in a way, because you are at least keeping some standard of where you want to be. But being yourself is very important at the same time. You can't just try to copy the whole work that the other person has done. It's always good to have a mentor or somebody you are following, maybe on Instagram or somewhere else. That is a good inspiration, a good motivation of where you want to be. But as a beginner or as an amateur photographer, don't try to be at that level from day one. So you have to give some time, learn again, going back to the basics. Learn the basics first, understand the process, and then eventually gradually go towards that level. There could be pictures where you break the rule. I mean, you're shooting right into the sun, or the rules of third is not followed properly. As long as you think the picture is framed properly and you can tell the story with that picture, you should just go for it and take that picture. At the end of the day, it's just a digital file. At worst case, if it doesn't work, you can still delete it later. But don't be afraid of experimenting and being yourself. The fifth common mistake that I see is not investing your money wisely. Now, photography is a very expensive art, and just buying few lenses or camera can make it really super expensive. So it's very important that you plan ahead of the time in terms of how you want to spend your money. If you have enough money, then obviously it's not a question. But if you have limited sources and limited money, you want to plan it ahead of time. Typically, the way I do it is, obviously my camera and my lenses are very important to me because those are the core things for my photography. So whenever I'm buying my camera or lenses, I never kind of compromise for anything. I'll always buy the high quality cameras, high quality lenses from best manufacturers. So I use Nikon for my camera, but sometimes with my lenses what I'll do is I'll go Tamron or Sigma, so that can save you some money rather than going to Nikon, because obviously Nikon is a brand and there is a cost to it. So just try to find something that can be a good substitute but still works for you in terms of your quality of pictures. Other accessories, for example a remote shutter or a tripod or a flash or a diffuser, those things don't have to be really super expensive. So first of all, try to evaluate that, do you even need that? I mean, initially when I started photography, I think I was the same way, where I was spending so much money just buying these accessories, and some of these accessories maybe I used them for 1 or 2 times, but then they were just sitting in my closet. So plan it properly and try to get into it gradually. Once you start your photography as a beginner, you will eventually make your way and start realizing what are the key components that you need, and most of the times you don't need all the things. Sometimes I have even gone to trips where I have just taken my camera, a couple of lenses, maybe a remote shutter and a tripod, and that's it. Obviously you need some of the accessories like battery and all the supporting things, but I don't need a flash there, I don't need a diffuser there or a diffuser light there. So some of the things that I don't need, and if I don't need it, I will probably not buy it. So just be wise with how you spend your money. The sixth common mistake and very important mistake that I see a lot is don't hibernate. Keep shooting. What I mean is, don't buy your camera and then for 2 months you're super excited to take all the pictures, but then after 2 months or 3 months now your camera is just sitting in a closet doing nothing. Be consistent with your photography. But the point is, it's very easy to get distracted and not do any photography. The best photography that you'll learn is by taking your camera and actually shooting the pictures. So try to take as many opportunities as you can to take pictures outside. The point is, Keep taking pictures and don't miss any opportunities that you get. The seventh very important mistake that people can make, in fact I have made this mistake and I have regretted a lot. Copy your work properly and make sure it's there. At least you have a couple of copies of your work, especially when you are working for a client. You don't want to lose your work, and I have done that mistake. I have made that mistake. I have done that where I have done the shoot. I copied the work from my memory card to my computer, thinking that it's on my computer properly there, and I don't know what happened, and I formatted my memory card and then went back to the computer to edit the pictures, and those pictures were no more there. So that was a very hard lesson that I have learned, that hey, at least make a couple of copies of your work. From that day onward, I still copy my work into my computer and make sure it's there, but at the same time I never delete it from memory card until I have already processed my pictures, converted into JPEG and send it to the client. Once that has happened, then I'll delete the pictures from my memory card. But till that point, I do not delete my work. I keep the 2 copies until I'm sure that the pictures are there. So please don't make that mistake. It can cost you a lot of money. It can cost your reputation if it's for an event. So definitely try to keep copies of your work until you're sure that hey, you already have processed the work and saved it to one location. So these were some of the common mistakes that I wanted to share with you. Let me know what you think. If you have more mistakes that you think should be avoided, definitely comment. Also comment if you have made these mistakes and let me know how was your experience. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you get notified next time I upload a video. Also hit the bell icon so that you get the notification. Again, this is Asim Gupta with ShutterClick, and keep clicking.